Hi everyone, and welcome to a video in which I share with you my general comments about your Unit 1 drafts, the exploration in particular. So you have some time before your revision, and I have commented on everybody's drafts individually, but I wanted to make some general comments, and you'll have these, you'll have my individual comments, and you'll have two peer reviews that you can use for the revision process. What I'm using to talk about your drafts are you probably can't see them, but on the very last page of the Unit 1 assignment, there are a number of rubrics or highlights that I'm grading you on. So the first two regard Unit 1, Part 1, and the first one is about your introduction. Do you give us some introductory remarks? Um, the second one is a sense of what people in your field do, including how they use writing. So if you didn't meet those goals, you'll want to make sure to include them in your revision process. The next few are the ones that really have to do with Part 2, a little bit more rigorous in the academic field. But the first one there is an understanding of the current conversations in your specific field. What are the issues open in your chosen area? So what are you trying to do? What is the specific issue? Maybe you can combine a few background paragraphs so that you can get to a clear and overarching question. Right in that first paragraph is a great place for it to be. By putting it there and by narrowing things down right there, giving us a clear sense of where you are, you have a chance to offer readers a roadmap by saying, here's my interest, here's my specific fields, and here's how I'd like to contribute to the discussion. So the next grading highlight is a compelling and specific list of questions for exploration, along with some speculation on their answers. You don't have to have all the answers. The answers might change. They might conflict with one another. That's fine. But do make sure you actually have questions in this section of Unit 1. An overarching question, again, is great for organizing your ideas. And if you do choose to use a bullet list, which I noticed some of you did, make sure you follow it up with a paragraph on some specific speculations, ideas you have on where the research might take you. The next grading highlight, the fifth one, is that you have a clear sense of a narrow enough or non-obvious area of inquiry to explore. And this is an area of inquiry that you're going to look at throughout the whole semester through a variety of different lenses. So it should be something that you're interested in, not choosing by default. So this is a problem. I'm going to take a look at something in particular that people are debating in my field or people are talking about. If you just say, I'm going to look at marketing, this tells me you don't really have any idea of what you're going to talk about. So you want to get really specific about something that interests you. The sixth grading highlight is an appropriate audience consideration. And we are your audience, a bunch of students in the field of business and me. You need to hit the right tone, so you want to avoid casual language and cliches. You can assume that we all have an interest in business, even if we're not experts in the area. So you don't need to go about explaining what marketing is or what operations are. Your audience will know that. The Part 2 section should also be thorough enough. A brief draft doesn't really respect your audience and respect them enough to understand that they want to follow your thought process. You also need a descriptive title that is also polite for your audience so she or he knows where you're headed. And in addition, think about spacing, how it appears on the page, what it looks like. Is your audience going to be able to follow it without getting confused, or are there enough spaces so that we make logical leaps between paragraphs, that kind of thing. Be sure to proofread for that. The seventh grading highlight is evidence from one scholarly text. And as I mentioned in the database screencast, a scholarly text is a text that you find in the databases that is a peer-reviewed journal. And as I explained in the screencast, there's a way to check that as you're searching the databases. So make sure it's scholarly. Newspapers, magazines, general websites, those are not scholarly. And try to make it one source. And I ask for one source because your voice should really dominate this exploration. You don't need 3 or 4 or 5. One is ideal. You can probably get away with 2, but I wouldn't go beyond that. Regarding your source, make sure that you are following APA guidelines specifically. And these guidelines, I provide a link on our Blackboard menu to the OWL page. And the OWL page has many subpages. My favorite subpage is their sample paper, in which you can actually see what a references page looks like. Be careful to alphabetize your sources if you have more than one. That you use references as the title of the section and not works cited or bibliography, and that the spacing is correct. Finally, the last grading highlight is that you have clear language and few mechanical or grammatical errors. I tried to identify in each of your drafts maybe 1 or 2 particular areas, if there were them, that you can go ahead and look up. Again, you can use the link on our Blackboard menu for grammar and mechanical issues. Be sure to proofread. Spelling errors with spell check is virtually unexcusable. But some things I noticed were choppy writing, wordiness, fragments, run-ons, commas. Sometimes there's word confusion, like the difference between loose and lose, or fewer and less. So ideally, I highlighted one of those if it's an issue for you, and there's a great reference tool to take a peek at it. I hope that helps you in your revision process. Again, these are the general comments. I've made more specific comments. I know that this is a challenging exercise, but I think you'll see as the semester goes on that it's really what sort of sustains you and keeps you on track as we look at the different genres. Okay, please reach out if you have any questions. Bye.